So, hello, fellow Earthlings. This is Earthling 6455463728. And I am not particularly fond of Eric Weinstein. Weinstein? No, Weinstein, I guess. He is a mathematician, and of most recent note, at least to me, he was on Lex Fridman's podcast. He has to keep reminding me that it's Friedman without an E. Anyway, as usual, I am Earthling, yada yada yada. And I personally had a couple of degrees and I got a scholarship, so it means that I never really had any student debt. Yay! So that's it for me. Anyway, so Lex Fridman had Eric Weinstein on recently, and I have to agree with Eric Weinstein. As much as I am not particularly fond of him, because I think he has a lot of a priori knowledge, a lot of information in his head, but I think in terms of logic, in terms of putting stuff together, it is not as impressive to me as all the things that he knows. Of course, he has his own theory of everything. But yeah, part of my problem with him, for example, was that he was supporting Trump with respect to this China ban that was ultimately useless since the US got a whole bunch of coronavirus cases from Europe instead. And I'm like, do you not understand? Anyway, what was my problem with him when he was on the podcast, Lex Fridman's podcast? Well, like I said, I have to agree with him. He was saying that everything that bad people do is not bad, and everything that good people do is not necessarily good. He didn't say that second part. I'm just, obviously. So he's like, did Hitler do bad things? Is everything that he did bad? And he gave some example that he said moved him to tears, whereby some group of women got their husbands back, and I guess this was a good thing that you could say that Hitler did. I guess he was an okay artist, not a stellar or exciting one, and he was, I guess, talking about cancel culture again ad nauseum with these people, between him, Joe Rogan, and other people. And I think at this point, I just want to interject the fact that I can name a number of people who were cancelled before cancel culture, and they bounced back. They weren't didn't lose every last bit of everything. For one thing, let's look at one of the biggest people who've ever been cancelled, which would be Michael Jackson. Everybody loved him, and at some point, especially with his two child molestation cases, he was persona non grata. But yet when he died, he was about to go on a world tour. So this is an alleged pedophile who was going to go on a world tour. Now, the next person I'm thinking of who got cancelled, supposedly, is Pee Wee Herman. Pee Wee Herman was caught with his pants down at one of these pornographic theaters, and he came back. I've seen him he was on Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Was he in a movie or something like that? Anyway, he came back. He got back some stature. Anyway, then I could think of Vanessa Williams. She had, when she was Miss America, the pictures of her emerged where she was dressed half naked. She came back. Mel Gibson, he had his first rant, and he came back. He had another rant, and he came back from that because he was in, what is it? Is it Stepfathers or something like that? I don't remember. The one with, what's his name? And I don't remember. He was a surprised father of somebody in a movie. So, and right now, currently, and I know this is getting kind of far away from Eric Weinstein, but he and all of these other people keep complaining about this cancel culture, it's canceling people, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, have you guys ever heard of McCarthyism? That was a cancel culture. That's where people lost a lot. I was surprised to find out that Charlie Chaplin was a victim of McCarthyism. He became out of favor completely in America, and he was actually English to begin with. So there's this guy who comes from England to find his fortune in America, strikes it big, and then is taken down by a Republican-led McCarthyism, communism witch hunt. I guess after that, people didn't want to see much of him, so he went to Europe and he was able to continue his career in Europe. And now that is, I mean, he still didn't lose everything. I mean, he didn't go to jail or whatever, but he lost a lot. He had to move, da da da. Also, Lucille Ball, she was almost a victim of McCarthyism as well, where somebody might have gone to a meeting that they didn't know what it was going to be about beforehand, as happens lots of times on our college campus, or anytime somebody's young. If you've ever heard of Amway or any one of these multi-level marketing things, they just tell you to come for an opportunity, and the next thing you know, oh my God, what am I doing here? And that was enough to really damage somebody's career and get them blacklisted in Hollywood, as it were. People who complain right now on the right, I guess they don't really know their history, because this was already done, and in a much worse degree, by people on the right. It's just anyway. So Weinstein was saying how there's pressure to have people denounce their friends, and he would never denounce his friends if he found out that his friend had done something. He would discuss this thing with his friend in private, and yada yada. So he's saying that, and he's talking to Lex, and I guess he is trying to make sure that Lex sees things in a similar way. And I'm kind of like, okay, I agree with that too, in that not everything that, to begin with, to go back, not everything that a bad person did was bad. Not everything that a good people do are good. And yeah, maybe you don't have to denounce your friend. But I think the idea is you don't have to say that, oh, my friend is a really, really bad, horrible person. You can just simply say, yes, these things that my friend has been accused of are really, really awful. And to the degree that they are true, I'm really, really sorry to anyone who is a victim of these things. I still need to discuss these things further with my friend in private. And of course, if they end up being true, I'm really, really disappointed with my friend if this is the case. I won't stop being his friend, but blah, 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 blah. You don't have to denounce your friend and say your friend is an evil, bad person, and how could he do this, and I'm never going to have anything to do with him. But you also don't have to say nothing at the same time. I mean, nobody's asking you to, depending on what situation you're in. And then he's having this whole other thing with Lex Fridman about, everybody should have a platform and freedom of speech, and who should be on, like if, what's his name, Alex Jones should be on Lex Fridman's podcast. And Lex is like, well, I don't know. I think that Alex would be trying to use me, and I'm not comfortable with that. And then Eric is like, well, everybody's trying to use everybody. Look at me. I have a suit on. I don't normally wear suits. I'm trying to manipulate you. But yes, yeah, Lex is like, yeah, let's say that you are. You're not trying to do it in a way that is disrespectful to me then. And they go down this whole thing where Eric gives us examples of saying that they're talking about this other person, and they're saying that, well, I don't know if I am the best person to serve this person on my podcast, The Portal. I think that's what his podcast is called. Meaning that he makes the analogy of this puffer fish. So the puffer fish is a delicacy in Japan, but it has to be prepared expertly well. Otherwise, the person who consumes it might die. So you have to be very, very good at being able to prepare this dish so that you do not puncture the particular organ that has the poison. And if there is just a small amount of poison, like in the flesh of the fish, it can add a certain amount of tingle to your tongue. And just, of course, in general, for general knowledge, the whole excitement of the dish is that danger. But of course, everybody wants a good outcome. And he personally doesn't know if he is the quote-unquote chef to be able to serve this, well, if he's making the analogy, this potentially poisonous guest on his show. And I'm thinking, yeah, but maybe this person just doesn't need a platform. And I don't understand this crazy push to allow everybody to say whatever they want, even though it may mean the end of democracy. I don't know why democracy itself needs to be put at risk so that every last person can say whatever it is that they want. It's like all cells should live, even if they're cancer cells. No. If you are a cancer cell and you are not prepared to die for the sake of the body, and you're prepared to take up as much resources as you can just in order to keep multiplying and growing to the detriment of the larger body, no, you do not deserve to, you don't have the right to continue to do that at the expense of everybody else. Rights are a balance. They're a balance between where you exercising your rights does not infringe upon the rights of other people. It's a balance. Rights are not what you would call it, a fire hydrant. You can't have everybody streaming a fire hydrant worth of venom per se, or just utter drivel at the same time in every direction all the time. No. Even in whatever body or legislative body that you're at, there are certain laws, and every legislator does not have the right at any time to say whatever they want. There's certain rules and regulations that happen in these, in Congress, in the US, in Parliament, in the UK, and in other countries. You can't just say whatever you want anytime. There are rules that you have to follow, and who sets them? Everybody collectively sets them, or representatives set those rules. It's just, I understand some of what Eric Weinstein says, but then a lot of the other stuff is just craziness without regulation. It's just a desire to have people do whatever crazy thing that they want and be whatever crazy thing that they want, as long as I guess it's something that you might slightly agree with, maybe. Because the whole idea of a cancel culture is that people are collectively deciding that they may not want to associate with you. And that is a freedom of speech. That is a way, it's an institution saying we do not want you to be an employee of this institution. So the institution and the people who, in their freedom of speech, they do not want to associate with you as one of their freedoms. The organizations that don't want to associate with you as part of their freedom of speech, you're against that. But the part where the person gets to say and do whatever they want without any fear of retribution from other people, you find that's a problem. But other people can't exercise their desire not to be affiliated with you as a result of that. That's just some crazy stuff. Anyway, that's my piece. Feel free to like, comment, share, subscribe, or any of that stuff the same way you would like for other people to do with you. Have a good one. Peace.